So realistically, I am personally responsible for my own success, just like you are responsible for yours. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today we're talking about how to get accountability if you are looking for it. This is actually something that I think a lot of people struggle with, that I have seen, especially whenever you end up quitting a job to go out on your own and to do the entrepreneur or self-employed thing. I've joked before that there's no one ever here to tell me to do the things that I actually write down on my whiteboard, or the goals that I set in my Asana, or even the sticky notes that I write notes to myself on. I can do all these things. I can take all these actions and say, I want to do all these things. I want to become a multimillionaire. I want to have a Lamborghini Aventador one day. But ultimately, it's just me here with my pets that I've locked away in the other room so that I could record this for you real quick. My wife has gone to work, and friends and family care about me and want the best for me, but they have their own lives and they have their own schedules to go attend to today. So realistically, I am personally responsible for my own success, just like you are responsible for yours. Accountability, again, is the hardest part because no one's here to watch me. Most likely, no one's there to watch you, to force you to do the things that you say you're going to do, to make sure you go to the gym, to make sure that you actually do all the reps, you do the full workout, you don't skip out on half of it, or you don't just do the bare minimum, right? It's up to you and I to make sure that that happens. But one thing that can be very helpful is to get an accountability partner of some type. And you can actually get accountability from multiple types of groups and people. And I personally have different accountability circles. I've talked about this several times before, and it has kind of evolved and had some ebbs and flows. But what I find is helpful for me is to just have various conversations with my life coach, my business coach, several friends that wanted to be accountability partners and have some sort of frequency. And I actually even keep an entire project. I'm using air quotes because it's not really a project, but I have a whole section in my Asana project management tool called accountability items. And here's where I show my accountability to those different people that I talked about. I've got something that I tell my business coach that I'm going to do before the next time we meet every 2 weeks. My life coach, we've been meeting once a month recently, and I have a couple of things that I told her that I was going to get done by the time we met again. I've got another friend. We do a bi-weekly every 2 weeks. We also do a Zoom call to check in, and I've got a couple of things that I've mentioned, such as think of 2 goals for 2023 that I want to accomplish that we can chat about the following time. And then I've got 2 friends. I might have a little bit this might be a little bit excessive, but I have enjoyed these conversations, and they are with different people that are doing different things and at different levels. So it kind of helps me get a little bit of perspective, because I've got a friend who does a property management company. I've got a friend who's a chemical engineer and has a full-time job, but he owns like several houses and real estate properties. He doesn't really have to work if he doesn't want to, type thing, because he can survive off of the rental income. My other friend, gosh, I'm pretty sure he just hit a 6-figure month in October as of the time of this recording. It just closed a commercial deal, made 150 grand, something crazy like that. And don't just look at the sexy side though, because this one friend said it could be an entire year where he only does 1 or 2 deals. But if he does those deals, he can easily clear 300,000 plus of commission. So that's another friend that I talked to. Then, of course, my business coach has, scaled and sold several businesses, speaks on stages, is credible in several different areas. And that's why I look up to him and reach out to him for coaching. And so we do group coaching calls, and then I just tell them what I'm going to do. So to give you some ideas, in case you're wondering, what do I tell people that I'm going to do? What do I have them hold me accountable to? For my business coach, I said, think about what I really want for the next 2 weeks, and even check out potential opportunities that may be out there. I am working in real estate. I've got this real estate mentor out here, but the market has been a little bit slower this year. So it's kind of like, what could be a good way for me to move horizontally into something still real estate related, but perhaps in a growing sector, or something that is a little less dependent on the ebbs and flows of the market based on interest rates and things like that. So just figuring out, how do I differentiate myself and maybe just take on a little bit wider of a net to make sure that my income isn't so variable depending on how the market is going. With another friend, my chemical engineer friend that I meet with every 2 weeks, I said kind of similar goals to what I told my business coach, brainstorm what I actually want to do in the short term. And then the other one was think of 2 goals for 2023 that I'm going to want to focus on. My life coach, there were a couple things I'm working on in the real estate space out here. There's like a tenant ownership program for tenants who want to break their lease and buy a house, and we'll allow them to do that for free if they work with us to buy a house. So that's something that I'm working on, as well as attending 4 networking events in the course of a month. So I'm tracking that. My other friend, I said, let's see. Actually, I don't know if I even set a goal here, or if I did, I need to check my text messages and update this, because I already did the last one that I wrote on here, which is on a monthly basis again. I presented a plan to work with this real estate mentor, and we are working together. We were able to make it happen. And then my other friend as well, who has a property management company, we've got to text each other our accountability, because we were very late at the end of the call, running out of time, and said, hey, just text me what you're going to do and we'll hold each other accountable for next time. And then it also provides an opportunity to check in on the next meeting, like, hey, you said you were going to do this. How did that go? Did you do it? Did you run into any issues? Do you have some feedback? What do you want to talk about? Do you have any questions on how we can maybe improve this for the next time going forward? And so if you can have different accountability friends, even if you just have one, or a business coach. Now, maybe you don't have $1,000 a month to spend on a business coach. Maybe you'd rather just meet with a friend for free, but I would just encourage you to find someone who is driven, self-motivated, and wants to hold you to a higher standard. Don't just find a friend who's going to say, oh, you did a good job, and pat you on the back, because I think we've all had that before. And it's not the tough love that we need to actually get to the next level. And personally, we were talking about this. I forgot who, maybe my fiance and I, like, I was a little bit brainwashed kind of growing up, because my parents love me and my brother so much, and they think that we're the best. They're probably the ones to stick that, oh, my kid is an honor roll student on the back of their car, when no one else cares, just your parents care. You know what I'm talking about? There's a pro and a con to that. The pro, obviously, my parents were super loving. They were always there for us. They took me and my brothers to taekwondo and soccer practice and all these different things growing up. And they were always there. They were always supportive. I'd say the downside is that we grew up thinking that we are awesome, that we're flawless, that we're perfect. At least that's my perception. I don't know what my brothers would say to this, but I was always told, oh, you guys are such good kids, blah, blah, blah. You're so handsome. You're so talented. You're so smart, So that kind of blew up my ego, I believe, because I tell this story, I've told it before, where I thought I was smarter than most people because I went to this college prep school. It's like a Jesuit private school. Only the cream of the crop go there. And I had this notion in my mind that I'm smarter than all these public school kids that are probably in gangs, or getting bullied after school, while I'm here studying and getting good grades or something. And so I thought I was smarter than people for a long time. At least that was my surroundings told me that I was. And then I get to college and I try to study for my tests just like I did in high school. Maybe the night before you cram, you read the chapters, you go through the review notes, and you're able to get an A or B. Well, that didn't work for me in college. And I remember getting like a 35 on my first test in economics. And it was a wake-up call. I realized, man, I have no idea what's going on. I'm already way behind. I have no chance of recovering from this terrible test grade. And I saw a couple of other people who were like public school kids. This was my first time really going to a public school. I had gone to private school or Catholic school from pre-K all the way to high school. And so now I'm in this classroom with 400 students, an entry-level classroom, bigger school than I had ever been to. I think there were maybe 40 something thousand students in the entire A&M campus at the time, Texas A&M. And so it was a rude awakening of no one's coming to save me. Everyone's out here on their own. You got to kind of study, find your own groups, find your own networks to collaborate with, or go to tutoring, or whatever you need to do to make it happen. And where I'm going with that whole long-winded story is that I had a reality check that maybe I'm not as smart as I thought. I'm not just inherently gifted and smarter than other people. I still have to work for it. I still have to study. And I had to go find friends to study and make study groups with, and do flashcards with, and push myself. And that way we held each other accountable. We could quiz each other and get through the material to actually successfully pass the class and, do the whole college thing. And now that I'm not in college, that I don't have a day job, I've got to create that environment again for myself. If I want to succeed, and if you want to succeed, you've got to manufacture that accountability, because it's very difficult to hold yourself accountable to everything. Now, maybe if you're David Goggins, that dude is a beast. He will hold himself accountable. He'll run in 5-degree weather barefoot with broken feet. If you've read Can't Hurt Me, or if you heard it on Audible, you know what I'm talking about. But most people are not quite like David Goggins. Most people are not going to hop off the couch and go run 30 miles in freezing cold weather or in the pouring cold rain. They're not going to do it. And maybe they will do it if they have someone holding them accountable or challenging them, because we're very competitive creatures sometimes. If someone else is doing better than us, then we don't like that necessarily. It's like the crabs in the bucket type thing. But instead of holding others back, I like to say, let's see if we can push ourselves more to accomplish what that person is accomplishing in their lives. Because if they can do it, so can I, right? That Gatorade commercial back in the day, I used to love it, where it said, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you, something like that. Very competitive. And if you can harness that competitive drive and spirit in a friendly way, you're going to see massive changes. And to do that, it's helpful to have an accountability partner. You don't want to see your accountability partner just blowing past their goals while you're staying stagnant. It kind of sparks that internal competition to push a little bit more. So where I'm going with this is, if you need accountability, if you need help pushing yourself, sticking to the things that you say you're going to do, find an accountability partner or get a business coach or a life coach. Any of those things that I talked about earlier, just find someone who's willing to meet with a certain amount of frequency, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe even once a month. I think weekly is a little bit much sometimes. Once a month, maybe a little too infrequent. Honestly, every other week seems to be like a very good cadence, so that you can actually make progress on the goals that you've set, and actually meet with a frequent enough basis where you're not forgetting. You realize that that next meeting is just around the corner, and so that you need to be working on the things that you said you're going to do, so that you actually have something to come to the table with and talk about in terms of progress made since the last meeting. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, if you need an accountability partner, if you still have any accountability follow-up questions, reach out, shoot me a DM on Instagram. ChrisBello_ is my handle. Make sure to follow me on there as well. If you haven't gotten my complete life tracker, go to chrisbello.com/free. That's kind of a way of having accountability, because you can track everything, how many pages you're reading, how many times you're meditating, business goals as well as personal goals. And that's how I kind of hold myself accountable. And at the very least, even if no one's ever seeing those numbers but myself, I can see, what did I do? What did I not do? When did I skip morning routines? Have I not worked out 3 days in a row? If so, something needs to change, and I need to at least do something, even if I'm out of town, on vacation, etc. So with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Make it an awesome week. And thanks so much for your time today. I look forward to catching you on the next episode.